up, we've got Dave Eager, who's going to speak about PACA. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So we had Padma earlier talking about the professional side of the project, we had Tony talking about the amateur, and I'm going to talk about the very amateur side of the project, because I got involved. I've been following the Rosetta project for a good number of years now, and I've been around quite a few societies doing my talk. Has anybody got a chance to sniff the cards? If you haven't, they are hanging around. I'll ask you at the end what you thought it smelt like. Of course, there were a number of slingshot trajectories it used, and after a year in orbit it came past the Earth. It approached from the night side, and I just had an observatory built, and I was pointing my telescope just below Leo in a direction of the sky. I hoped I would spot a tiny speck of light going across the sky, and to my amazement I did. And then it was a rush to actually get the camera in and try and take an image. I managed to get it on 2 shots. So you can see one at the top here I've put together, and one down there. So as you can see, I've been following the Rosetta project for quite a while. So that was a great achievement, I thought. So as I was following the project, the mission, and this popped in, I thought I've got to have a go at that. See if I can get pictures of the comet. It was a challenge because it was never going to be very bright. So it was recovered after perihelion by 2 guys using remote telescopes. There it is, really faint. Down in Chile, I think the scopes were based, because it was favoured the southern hemisphere as it came out of perihelion. And it was going to be in a really nice, easy place to find, because it was going through Taurus, just above the Hyades, the Pleiades here, and going through past Gemini and just past the open cluster M35. So a lovely, lovely place to find it. Trouble is, look at the dates. It's just rising just before dawn. So it was going to be a challenge. On the morning that I decided I would give it a go, I've been up all night taking images and having lots of fun out there. That's my view from the observatory. So you can see there's a garage here. There's my neighbour's house, another house. There's the Pleiades and a few stars in Taurus. Where's the comet at this stage? It's right behind the window here somewhere. So it was gradually going to appear across. And of course we've got this lovely street light as well, which I haven't had very much success with the local lighting people, but there you go. And so I waited, and I don't use CCD cameras. I've just got a DMK41 camera at this stage, because I need a DSLR in this brightening twilight, because it was getting bright by this stage. It would be impossible, so I used a DMK camera, really small field of view, give it a bit of contrast. And there's my image. Awful image. A few dust bunnies, which I couldn't see all night when I was taking images, and yes, I can calibrate my images, Peter, but you know, hey, there you go. So if we invert it, have I got the comet? Well, in fact, there it is there. Just avoided that dust bunny, thank goodness for that. So I tentatively put the image up and said, well, I think I might have got the comet. And Colin Snodgrass came back and said, yes, the Stellar Robotic Telescope in Tenerife, that's the position of the comet. So I was really pleased with that one. I thought, am I the first person in the project to actually capture the comet? Am I in the UK? Am I? No, of course I wasn't. Peter, about 10 minutes before me, while I was waiting for the comet to come out behind the house, he's got a much better picture, because he's using a proper CCD camera. You can see it really looks like a comet. And he had a tree in the way, and he told me that he had to get this tree and tie the tree down so it's bending out of his field of view. Of course, that's something I couldn't do with the house next door. So yeah, so Peter got it on the same morning, about 10 or 15 minutes before I did. So well done, Peter. Brilliant.
I was in the garden shed with a broom about falling or whatever it was, trying to fight with the tree.
Yeah. And then Nick, a few days later, managed to get it from his location. So it was all good fun. Oh, and of course, they're both using CCD cameras. And so gradually it got a bit brighter, and I was able to use my DSLR to a little bit better extent. And if we look at the PACA images, actually across the world, you can see where they're all clustered, and there's a little cluster up here in Europe. And that was the map on the 17th of August. So you can see my location up here, I was the most northerly imager of the comet, so I was really chuffed with that. This guy down here cheated because he used a GI telescope, but you know, us three, yeah, we stick together. And then at Kelling, this was an image I was after, and I was a bit worried about where we were based, but I managed to get the comet in the morning sky quite nicely. And that was the first time through a 10-inch dob I could just about see it visually, so brilliant. Is it going to go? Yeah. And this is an image I took of the comet quite a while later, in November. I was quite pleased with that. It shows a few blemishes and things, but a few galaxies, and there's the comet with a nice little tail. And I was really pleased with that. Really, really pleased. Great, I've got a nice picture of the comet. Until the next day. Whoop, is it going to go? When Damien Peach popped that on the web. But again, he's using the eye telescope. And you see this lovely little ring galaxy here. So a lovely image taken from New Mexico telescope. But I had a look at my image. There's his image, and I cropped mine to scale. And using a DSLR with an 8-inch telescope in light polluted condition, it's a lot grainier, but I've got every single image, every single object that he's got in his image. So really pleased with that. So, you know, if you feel you can't make observations or can't do imaging, get out there and give it a go, because it's surprising what you can do with quite basic instruments. And my wife thought I was absolutely ridiculous getting up that time during the summer to see this tiny little fuzzy blob and take this thing. Yeah, she thinks I'm mad. But I've got other hobbies. I do wildlife photography. And one thing I've wanted to do for a number of years, not very successfully yet, is do time-lapse of frog spawn. What did I see when I was taking my frog spawn? Maybe I am obsessed. But anyway, I followed the comet for quite a while, and this one I was really pleased with because it showed quite a long tail on the original image. You can see the tail developed, and for a good couple of weeks or so it did develop a very, very long tail. And with the slew telescopes, they showed what looked like a bifurcated tail, so a double tail. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually dust that's following the comet in its orbit, and this is the tail. And that was probably released up to a year before the image was taken. So it's following the comet in its orbit. And that's my very last image of the comet. There it is, just below the Leo triplet. After that time it got a bit light in the sky, and there's lots of clouds for a while, and then it got too faint for me to capture. I couldn't actually stack on the comet itself because it was far too faint on the images to stack. But I enjoyed being part of the project. Of course that came when people didn't start to return any images because it was just getting far too faint. I don't know whether I actually contributed anything really scientifically towards the project, but it was certainly great fun being a part of it and getting some of the extra information I wouldn't have got from being part of that project was fantastic. Okay, so just a quick show of hands. Who liked the smell of the comet? Not many. Who didn't like the smell of the comet? Yes. Yeah, it's a general consensus they don't like it. So what do you think it smells like? Because I'm actually feeding these back to Colin.
A urinal.
A urinal, yeah.
Sweaty socks.
Sweaty socks.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Rejects of some pancreas. Well, that's just a start from.
Smells of London to me.
London, yeah.